People are moving away from the speakers who talk puffery and smoke and, oh, you believe in it. People are moving away from those kinds of speakers. So here's what you need to do instead.
How'd you do that?
I see that success is not something you pursue. It is something you are.
So if you pay attention to the speakers that are out right now, like Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, and you look at those guys, and you'll see that they're very different than the guys from the past. And they're different because of the way they talk. In the past, people used to say things like, I help your team live up to their full potential. If you just believe in it, it's gonna come to you and attract it to your life. And that's how everyone would talk back in the day. Now, if you look at someone like Gary Vaynerchuk, he's like, listen, if you want to effing work, then you got to freaking get things done. You got to live up to your freaking potential. And you'll notice that the conversation is very different. And you got to understand that nowadays, the way people speak is changing. If that's right. The way people speak is changing. And instead of saying, I help your team live up to their full potential, you have to say things like, hey, I make your team hungry. I get them to operate with the same sense of urgency and commitment that you have. And you say it with the oomph. You're like, listen, man, I make your team hungry. I get them to the point where they have that buy-in. They're just as hungry. They're driven. They're ambitious. The same way that you're trying to grow this business, your employees, I'm going to get them to that point, to the point where they seriously want to grow it as if it's their own. And that saying that is different than saying, oh, I'm going to help your team live up to their full potential. It's very different. And nowadays the conversation is changing. The conversation goes from intangible, what people used to say back in the day about full potential attracting, to here's specifically what's going to happen. I'm going to make people hungry. Just look at the history of the way people talked back then, the Jim Rohn, the Zig Ziglars, those guys, versus the way people are talking now. The way people are talking now, they're saying the same things, they're just saying it in a different way. And if you say the same things in the same way as before, where guys like Jim Rohn and all that stuff what worked back then hey, you're going to sound like an idiot today because people are changing the way they speak. It's a more tangible, more realistic vibe. So guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, I mean, these guys are essentially telling you, they're telling you like it is. That's what it feels like. It's like, here's how it is. And there's no puffery and no smoke around it. The reason why you think I'm so brilliant and the reason why you like me more than your mother is because you realize that I'm very transparent. I'm very raw. I'm not trying to speak like a robot. So you like me way more than you like your mother and way more than you like your kids. So if you look at businesses in general, businesses are constantly talking about, oh, we got to innovate. We got to look into the future and see, and we got to change, and we got to change. Well, in the speaking world, the business model is essentially the same. It's stayed the same for the longest. But what changes is the way communication happens, the way people talk. So stop talking like a freaking hippie and start talking more real. Start being more transparent with how you talk. Stop being a scared little wuss in the way you speak to people and get people pissed off and start throwing F-bombs if you want.